Today is Tuesday evening, October 4th, 2022. And by the time this segment of the Gay Geezer is uploaded, I will have already gone on about my business, having already made my decision that I will not reset my acceptance rate as offered by DoorDash in order to get a leg up on its Accept More, Earn More program. Now, for those of you who are checking out this segment of the Gig Geezer, first of all, I want to say that I hope that whatever decision you made was based on your best decision for you and it was based on your experience in your respective market. If you like the content that's been provided in this segment of the Gig Geezer or in any other segment of the Gig Geezer, hey, hit that subscribe button, give my content a thumbs up, share my content among others, and I definitely welcome your comments in the section below. Now, my reasons for not resetting my acceptance rate may be seen as varied. Yeah, some may call it petty, some may call it whatever. But this is not a case of an old person like myself, an old dog, not willing to learn a new trick. In fact, I came very close to going head on and resetting my acceptance rate. But I realized, at least for me, in the greater scheme of things, I just was not convinced that this was the best decision for me. I actually talked to some drivers who have, at least in my market, who were either very close to 50% or at 50% or higher, or somewhere in the 20% range. And they all said that they felt that they'd been seeing a fairly steady flow of orders, but they didn't know what benefit it really was for them, other than the fact that DoorDash says that they will have higher priority on higher paying orders, which are supposed to pay at least a minimum of $1.50 a mile. Well, in all my looking at content on YouTube from other content creators, and then just looking at what DoorDash has presented us in terms of its selling point for participating in the program, I still was never convinced as to what would be considered a higher paying order, especially for someone like me who has always maintained, at least as a preference, single orders of $8 or more. And we're talking across all the apps, Grubhub, Uber Eats, including Waiter/Bite Squad, and double stacked orders of $14 or more. Again, across all the apps, Uber Eats, Grubhub, and Waiter/Bite Squad. So, by definition, what could it be for a higher paying order than for at least what DoorDash is telling me? Could it be that if the order is going to pay, if they're offering an order that's showing $9, and they're saying that it is guaranteed to pay more, is it going to pay more than just $9 and that's it? In that case, it would be nothing more than me accepting a bunch of orders just to say that I'm getting orders that I'm already getting all along. At least that's just based on what I'm seeing. So that's what I'm gathering so far. This is what I'm anticipating. This is what I'm guessing. I don't know, but this is what I'm gathering, anticipating, or guessing all at once. And again, what I feel is that this is a bluff that I'm just going to have to call. I'm going to have to push in my chips and see just what cards DoorDash is holding. Now, if it turns out I got a better set of cards, they're going to lose some chips. Well, figuratively, symbolically, not literally and figuratively, because they are a multi-billion-dollar corporation. But the chips are that they may be mental, emotional, and nothing more. And that you're just calling them out on what amounts to be is another mind game. At least if I'm right. If I'm wrong, then guess what? I will work harder to try to improve my acceptance rate in order to accept more, to earn more. But we shall see, and bear with me. And by the way, if you like the content that's been provided in this segment of the Gay Geezer or in any other segment of Gay Geezer, hit that subscribe button, give my content a thumbs up, share my content among others, and I definitely welcome your comments in the section below. Now, one of the things I thought about with trying to improve my acceptance rate to 50% or trying to maintain an acceptance rate of 50% or more, it would require me in this market, Columbia, South Carolina, to accept orders that absolutely, more than likely, do not make any sense. Now, if I worked a smaller area or smaller radius within my market, and I dealt with only the denser populated areas of my market, this may make sense. Since I work a wide area of the market, in order to get, in order to kind of come across the opportunities that I have consistently come across over the past several years, I would probably be taking a beating, not only in money, but also, at least it's been my experience, although granted, DoorDash has made some improvements and refinement in the way customers are allowed to rate us drivers. They still have the power to rate us on a whim a 1 star. It, I think back to the days when I did actually maintain a higher acceptance rate, one that would be within striking distance or at 50% or higher. And I took a beating in the acceptance in my driver rating. I struggled. In fact, right here are 3 examples of my acceptance rate as of February 2020. As you can tell, I had an driver rating from as low as 4.4 up to 4.53, and that was my highest rating at that time, in fact. But also, if you notice, my acceptance rate was somewhere between the upper 30s to low 50s. Also, at that time, I can tell you that I wasn't making the money that I'm making now. In fact, percentage-wise, I was making about, more than likely, about 60 to 70% of what I'm making now. It wasn't but a few weeks to a few days, in fact, afterward, that I began to change my strategy to where it is similar to what I have been doing over the past couple of years now. It wasn't until I changed my strategy that I began to see my driver rating improve, but also make more money to the point there where I began to make $1,000 or more on a regular basis doing food delivery work. So much that I felt that there was no need to do rideshare anymore. So, again, I am talking from experience. Although, granted, again, I realize in this conversation, we're talking about how DoorDash has been changing things. They've been changing things in such a way that it could mean that I may have to accept more to see more orders even come across my screen. But even then, I'm gonna share with you numbers that I shared similarly in a recent segment of the Gig Geezer, but I'm gonna share them again. Now, what I am gonna say, aside from Top Dasher, which I've never been close to even qualifying for, I am in the other supposedly big programs that DoorDash offers. I'm in the Shop and Pay program, in which I could do the grocery orders, the ones that do pay well. I'm in the Shop and Pay where I may go to Bed Bath and Beyond and make a decent money on certain orders. I'm in the pizza delivery program, but it's been my experience, I've not seen a lot of orders that have paid worth my while. But I still am in the pizza delivery program where I have to show a picture of my pizza delivery bag. But the main one that I'm a part of is the large order program. And I didn't have to be Top Dasher in order to qualify at the time. I qualified at the time for DoorDash's drive order program. I eventually had the 4.7 rating, and I already had the lifetime deliveries, and I'd already delivered so many orders within the previous month, and I'd already maintained a higher completion rate. And I've been in that program since like April of 2020. And as you know, the drive program has now evolved into the large order program. To that extent, the large order program is really what has kept me going really the past several months now on the DoorDash app. But I'm going to give you numbers based on September 1, based on from September 1 to, as of today, October 4th, 2022. Now, for me, overall, I have completed over this span of time of about 33 days, I have completed 111 orders according to the DoorDash app. I have made over $1,690 at that time, averaging $13.80 per completed order. At that same time, I have completed 30 large order program orders, and I've made over $715 on those orders, averaging $23 per completed large order. Now, that number, 30 orders out of 111, comes out to about 27% of my total number of orders. So 27% of the volume of orders that I've seen over the past several weeks have been large order program orders. But 42% of the money that I've made has come from large orders. Now, DoorDash hasn't said that I'm not still eligible to participate in the large order program. I am still eligible. Now, if I were not in the large order program, if I were not in the pizza delivery program where I have to produce the pizza bag, if I were not in the shop and pay order programs for the retail stores and grocery stores, that would be another reason for me to consider resetting my acceptance rate to 50%. So that's those are some, at least for me, what I feel are valid reasons why I had been hesitant to reset my acceptance rate, because again, I'm in everything else and I'm still seeing and you would say a decent amount of money coming across. Now, you may say also that I've only made $1,690 plus over the last several weeks, but you got to understand too that I'm active on 11 apps. And all those apps, at least the combination thereof, I'm still making well over $1,200, $1,300, $1,400 in any given week. In fact, as late as 2 weeks ago, I made $1,500 in 6 days of work. And not all of it was dependent upon DoorDash. And this is where I always say that multi-apping. You cannot get around multi-apping if you're really to make it in the gig economy. Here are my numbers as of today, October 24th. I have a 5% acceptance rate, 4.96 rating. I have a 90% completion rate and over 91% on-time rating. And I've got over 5,000 completed deliveries. Again, if you look at my numbers from February 2020, when the last time I was around 50% acceptance rate, there's not really a big difference in my numbers, other than the fact that my driver rating is significantly better. So that said, if you look at over the past couple of years, I've been very consistent with how I've gone about doing things. That is another reason why I have decided why I am not going to reset my acceptance rate. Now, if I happen to, again, reach 50% acceptance rate in a natural progression of things, in which for some reason, the orders that I've accepted, the ratio of orders that I've accepted has caused my acceptance rate to reach 50%. That's one thing. Now, I also contemplated what would be the benefit of participating or being eligible and accept more, earn more. And then that's where I had to take into consideration the market that I'm in. The Columbia, South Carolina market is spread out. And as I've said countless of times, it is conceivable that you can cover 20 miles in 20 minutes in this market. It is conceivable that you can be off into another county in a matter of 20 minutes. At the same time, as with any city that's of size and population, you can go certain parts of the more densely populated areas covering 20 minutes and may not cover much distance at all. But I tend not to work those densely populated areas. I just don't. But I know that that is the strategy of many drivers, and that they rather go where everybody is. I don't. But that said, another factor that one has to take into consideration in this market is the level of saturation. I suspect, I believe, at least in this market and in many other markets, saturation is more like hypersaturation. There's a lot of thirst out there. And when you're dealing with a lot of thirst, that also spreads the opportunities out there. And that's another factor that I've had to take into consideration. While I have seen a significant decrease in the number of orders and opportunities that have come across my phone screen over the past several weeks, it could be that yes, I've had a lower acceptance rate and DoorDash is penalizing me for it, or it could be the hypersaturation, which is also spreading out orders. But then again, there have been days for as many days that I've seen orders come across at uh, a very wide interval. It's been a very long interval between order opportunities come across my screen. I've had days in which I've had a steady flow of orders. So who knows? I decided that this may just be a bluff, a well concerted bluff, a well marketed bluff. And while there are those who may think that I'm just being an old person, not willing to change, not willing to learn new tricks, you don't know me. I've always been one who has been reaching and striving to improve myself so long as I have the ability to do whatever it is. I have, I like to believe that I have done things in a time doing gig delivery work to improve myself in such a way to where I have been effective in my strategy of things to the point that I can make a very good argument that I have done better than most people um, that do this type of work, particularly in my market. But I also believe that there comes a time where you have to stand up to the chip bully. The chip bully is going to keep pushing chips to try to force you out of the pot. And the chip bully, more times than not, is likely not to have the cards when you get to the river. And so it takes someone willing to make that stand against the chip bully if they read the board correctly in order to force them to turn their cards over. Now, one may say it's a 50% proposition that they have the cards or not. That is true. But if you got the cards and the chip bully doesn't, guess what? The chip bully done lost some chips. Sometimes you may even decimate the chip bully to the point where after a couple of hands later, they no longer exist. Now, that may not be the case here. But at the same time, I am willing to call DoorDash's bluff to see whether I'm right or wrong in my assessment. And so with that, if you like the content that's been provided in this segment of the Gig Geezer or in any other segment of the Gig Geezer, hit that subscribe button, give my content a thumbs up, share my content among others, and I definitely welcome comments in the section below. I'm in Woodlane, and as always, may your grind, may your hustle continue.